Hello everyone, DonTheCrown here, and I am super excited about the launch of Outlaw season for Torchlight Infinite, and we have the written guide here for the Unsullied Blade Rosa 2. And this is going to be really just awesome character and really fun time, and just really looking forward to this season. Also really looking forward to having more content on heroic.gg. It's kind of like a group project type of thing, so we're still working on getting all the kinks out and adding more features and stuff. Like we just added the ability for you to click on an image, and then if you want you can like scroll in or out of it, just kind of like make things easier to see. So yeah, just making the whole site a little bit better. Now this particular guide, pretty much we're going to be doing like a very classic dual wielding attack based build. Rosa seems to drop like almost exclusively one-handed swords during the campaign. And the ideal gear at the end of the campaign is going to be a lot of legendaries, but quite a bit of rare items as well. Scarlet Decree for hat is pretty classic. Despise Shadow actually got a pretty sizable buff, which actually gives you more damage for shadows now, which makes it pretty good. Mercurial Torment is a new necklace that gives you damage against enemies that have an ailment on them. So this is also a decent option. And you notice here that there's rare belt. In my testing, it kind of seems like Rosa is the only character here that does not get the Desire for Survival belt. You might be familiar with this. Let me just find it here. Pretty much gives you 65% of your max life and knocks back nearby enemies when you go to low life. This wasn't available to her for some reason, not in any of the treasure troves. I did report this as a bug, so hopefully they fix that. Now, for Silver Frost is a new ring here. It's not super duper great, gives you some additional damage, but other rings, fairly rare rings, could potentially be just as good. These new weapons here, though, Oathkeeper is absolutely insanely cracked. As you can see here, the very first one I found gave me 100% more damage, which is just absolutely wild and crazy. And you can just get this from the last treasure trove. For skills, I recommend using Frostspike. And the reason for this is because it just like kind of clears everything all over the place and just makes it really easy to transition into mapping an endgame, because you can just like freeze basically everything you hit for the first time. And it just makes like the survivability factor really good. You also just have a pretty good clear area. The way that the Unsullied trait kind of works, I did a whole video that talks about this. So I'm gonna do this really quickly. But basically, once you get it, you no longer need to worry about mana at all until maybe late game, because you can only consume mana through your trait, and you can only regain mana through your trait. And you're basically going to be switching between not having this circle around you and having this circle around you. So when you attack without the circle around you, it's going to burn down your mana, 10% of your mana per attack, to give you 10 mercury value. And when you get up to 100 mercury value, this circle will expand, and each of your attacks will now give you back 20% of your mana. Now note, the circle doesn't last very long because it burns 40 mercury value per second. So in about 2.5 seconds, all your mana is gone again. And hopefully you attacked 5 times in that period so that you can easily get back into the realm. If you don't, it's not the end of the world either. One thing to note is it was really weird for me because when you are leveling, normally when your mana gets low, you hit your compound source to kind of keep your mana high. You don't need to do that with this character because you can't recover mana from any way except for your trait. And so you're just going to get life source instead and try not to like panic hit that when you see your mana just diving down. For the passive trees, we're pretty much going to be going into here for Goddess of Hunting. We're getting some blessings here, getting some more damage. And like you can like fill out the trees a little bit more than this. I pretty much just trying to like run as lean as possible in the trees to try to get all the main talents as fast as possible, because you're kind of like going to take a little bit longer to get into main talents. For Blade Runner, we went over here. We took the one that makes it so that your damage from your offhand goes into your main hand. I thought this one was like pretty okay here, and we're just getting like more attack speed as well. And then for my third tree, I went to Prophet. And Prophet gives us a lot of cold damage stuff, and it also gives us increased freeze duration, increased damage against frozen, and makes it so that every single enemy that we touch pretty much for the first time is just going to get instantaneously frozen. And yeah, that was really awesome, especially because with the new league mechanic, there's going to be a ton of enemies running all over the place. Talking about that real quick, you're going to come across these little transport vans as you're running through the campaign. And these are always in the same locations. So if you do reset the zone, the van will be there again. And it'll pop open, and then little kind of like treasure goblin type of guys will run away. And they are invincible and vulnerable for the first couple seconds. But then once you hit them and kill them, they'll like pop a whole bunch of loot. And then a whole bunch of enemies will show up to protect that loot. And it can be really scary, especially because some of these layouts, you can pretty much get like 3, 4, 6 treasure goblins all running into the same direction. And it's a lot of enemies. You go from like nothing to like surrounded by guys, which is pretty wild. But going cold definitely seems to help out with this. And it was, you know, pretty fun to play. I have a whole like step-by-step leveling if you want to follow the whole thing here. We're just going to start with Frost Spike. We're going to use it all the way to the end. I did test out doing Thunder Spike as well, but like the lack of defenses kind of did suck a little bit. I considered using Berserking Blade as well. I think that could be a possible option as well. You just have to find a way to convert that into an element, because pretty much most of your buffs are coming like elemental damage from your class trait. So you kind of don't have any damage from that if you don't have an elemental attack. And yeah, this is kind of like what our hero trait looks like. You build up this mercury meter and your mana burns down, and it's always burning your unsealed mana to give you mercury value. So you can like seal a whole ton. You can like go really, really, really low, and like you have 10 mana open, it'll burn like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you pop into the realm. And I even did like where I did 2 50/50s, and I still had like 1 mana at the bottom, and it seemed to work just fine. So I'm not really sure what was going on with that. But yeah, it's something to kind of keep your eye open for. And I don't think there's anything in here particular that I haven't mentioned yet. There's that Mercurial Torment, that new amulet, get additional elemental damage to enemies with elemental ailments. The other thing is that when you get the second hero trait, you're pretty much going to now every half a second zap every enemy in the realm for a percentage of the damage that you did to the highest rarity enemy in the realm. And so like if you're fighting an elite and like a whole bunch of other enemies around you, you're like constantly giving them tiny little love taps, which is not like super duper impactful in the campaign. I think it's like 15% or something like that. So not super crazy, but does help out a little bit. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the guide. I think that this is going to be a pretty smooth starter. It's definitely not the fastest. Like Thea 3 was insane last season and even insane this season. I have a guide for that as well. But this was pretty smooth as well. Having to kind of like keep an eye on your weapons is pretty rough at times. However, the Outlaw season mechanic is insane for going and getting weapons. You get stuff that has like plus 12% cold pen, plus 10% additional damage for weapons and stuff. And it's just absolutely insane. So I highly recommend you do the Outlaw season mechanic as you go, especially because we don't really have a lot of treasure trove mechanics. So like really kind of stopping to do the Outlaw stuff can help you get some good weapons. Hopefully this video helped you out. If you want to see me playing this live, I will be over at twitch.tv/DonTheCrown. And you guys are awesome. Thanks.